So welcome everybody, this is SharePoint Patterns and Practices webcast, and this time we're covering something insanely good, and insanely cool stuff which is available for anybody to take advantage from the PnP repositories contributed by the community, which is the SharePoint Framework Modern Search Webpart. And this is really cool functionality which has been built by numerous persons, and there's multiple persons contributing that, but the main developers of this one has been absolutely Frank Cornu, and then Taralt has added a really cool capabilities on the web part as well. My name is Esa Juvonen. I'm a senior program manager from SharePoint Engineering, but I will not be actually presenting on this one. So I will let Frank and Taralt actually do the real presentation. So we'll get the information in the right way. But let's do a quick intros in here. So let's start first from you, Frank. So who are you and what's your role in the web part?
Yeah, thank you, Esa. So hi, everyone. I'm Frank Cornu. I'm an Office 365 developer at Ecos. It's my own company based in Canada. Montreal, and I'm the author of this solution with Taralt.
Yep. And Frank has been contributing a lot on other GitHub, other samples as well in the PnP side. But now, Taralt, what about you? So who are you?
Yes, thank you, Esa. Hi, I'm Taralt Gosbach. I'm a Office 365 developer, and I work in Puzzlepart in Norway.
Yep.
And I've been using PnP Webcast for a long time now, and it was finally time for me to start contributing myself. So I've been contributing some extra functionality to the to the search refiners Webpart.
Excellent, thank you, Taralt. And it's actually good to see how the nowadays the technology also works in a way that obviously people have contributed, even though people are working from Canada and Norway and whatever. So it doesn't matter. It's brilliant technology. Now let's actually deep dive on the web part itself, and I'll let Frank actually take it away, doing the introductions, and let me know, because I'm just explaining for the video watchers as well. I'm the person who's clicking the presentation. So Frank, let me know when we move forward on the slides.
Yeah, sure. So a quick introduction. I will start with a simple question. So why this web part? And I will ask this question by another question. So do you miss the old content search web part from the on-premise world? That would be a good summary of why this web part. So you may have seen this web part as another name as modern search web part. You will see React search refiners. So this is basically the same. And the main goal of this web part is to fill the gap regarding the search capabilities in the modern UI. So actually, we have some limitation right now with this search in the modern UI. So there is no way to create a custom search center like before. So you can't add your own search box, your own search result web part, and your refiners, and customize according to your requirements. So it can be very difficult for this specific use case. And about the components, you have only the highlighted content web part, which is quite limited for, let's say, advanced scenarios. So you can choose from multiple sources and select your fields and so on, but you don't have a fine control over your search query or the way the results are displayed, even if you have some built-in, let's say, displays. But you can say, I want this metadata here, I want this title in bold, and so on. So the main goals and objectives for this web part is to provide a way to customize the search experience in the modern UI. So the original idea was taken from the React Content Query web part, which is another web part using templating features and reproducing the behavior of the old content query web part from the on-premise world. So the modern search web part, it's basically the same concept as the content search web part, the old content search web part and associated components, because with the modern search web part, actually you have not only one web part, but two. You have the search box and a search results web part, which are independent if you want. So main goal is to fill the gap, like I said, for search-based components in the modern UI, and it has to be super generic and flexible. I use this Webpart for my customers' projects, and the main requirements are, it's always the same things. The requirement is about how I can display results in the way I want. I want to configure the query according to my information architecture, but the technical part is always the same. So first of all, I don't want to reinvent the wheel every time. So I build, let's say, a Webpart, super flexible and super generic. And for end users, it has to be very friendly, so they don't have to know about the search, but they can do a customization very easily. So this is the main goals and objective for this Webpart. So let's go through the available features to.
Before we go there, actually, just
Yeah.
Frank, reiterating what you're saying. So, and that's a really important point as well, because this Webpart is highly customizable or configurable. Let's put it this way: not customizable, configurable is the right term to use. You can actually define the output templates, and the GIF animation is awesome because it actually presents how you can modify the templates. And that is really in the classic SharePoint. We were using then XSLT to make that happen. What are we using with this Webpart? How does it actually work from a defining a template?
Yeah, so it's very like the old display templates mechanism. So we use an HTML JavaScript templating engine, which is Handlebar. Sorry. So for an end user perspective, he has to know this language HTML and CSS. So to perform some basic action, let's say add a field for result items, or let's say add metadata and so on. So it's like the old display template mechanism.
Yep, absolutely makes sense. Cool. Now, available features. So you mentioned that quite a few interesting capabilities, which out-of-the-box capabilities does not yet, at least yet have, right? Anything the out-of-the-box Webpart does not have all of these capabilities at least yet. So anything what you want to really pinpoint from the list of things?
So first of all, there is the search query configuration. So like I said, you can fine-tune your query. So select the keywords, the query templates, the selected fields you want. So if you know the keyword query language, this is here you can configure your query. You can also connect the search box and multiple search results, so you can build a complete search center within your page. You have also, like we said, the templating feature. So basically, the built-in feature use handlebars to create some basic HTML, CSS templates. You can use also external files if you don't want to embed your templates directly in the components. You have a built-in previews for Office documents and Office 365 videos, not Stream, not Microsoft Stream, but Office 365 videos. You have also result type features to select a specific template for a condition. Let's say you want a template for a PDF or a Word documents. You can do something like that. You have also the refiners support with multilingual values. You can add refiners or according to your requirement. You have also source options and cool options like pagings or best bets support. So a lot of built-in features. So it only requires configuration either in your Webpart directly or in your SharePoint tenant. But you have also add-on features. So these features they require additional development, but they are supported within the Webparts. The first is the search query enhancements using NLP tools. So to recognize some entities inside your query and apply or modify the query inputs for the search results Webparts. And the other one is the custom order renderer. So this feature was made by the Tawal. So Tawal, I will let you explain the goal of this feature.
Okay, thank you. So the main goal or the main problem that we saw with handlebars, even though it's really powerful, is that you can't really hook into JavaScript events. So we thought of a way to hook in custom-built SharePoint framework components and let them receive the data from the Search Refiner's Webpart and display them on a node in the view or on a HTML node. So what this means is that developers can use or create an SPFX Webpart and hook into the methods they need to hook into, and then get the data and display them in the way they prefer, and also hook into JavaScript events and, for example, use the Office UI Fabric React library if they prefer that. So it's a little bit easier to get like this generic Microsoft view as well.
Yep. Absolutely, really cool stuff. And those would be the custom renderers would be the ones which are then creating per a customer case or based on a deployment, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, it really covers the case when you are pretty limited with underbars templates. If you want to inject dynamic features, let's say to handle a click or something, it's better to use custom renderers for this typical scenario.
Absolutely, makes sense. And we'll see all of this in practice quite soon in a demo. Sure. Now, quickly still before we go to the demo, so where do we actually get this, and what are the learnings around the Webpart?
Yeah, so it is available through the PnP repository, the SPDev solution repository. So this is not a SPFX sample, it's a solution. So go to the SPDev solution repository, and some things that are good to know. This is designed specifically for SharePoint Online. So you can't use it, or you have to modify it to use it for on-premise. It uses the latest SPFX 1.7.1 version. And even if you don't use this Webpart directly for your search scenarios, you can just see the code, because it also showcases multiple SPFX concepts and patterns. I think about especially the dynamic data and the connection between multiple Webparts, and also dynamic loading and performance optimization that you can see in this Webpart. And if you want to add some features or fix some bugs, pull requests are very welcome on this project. Finally, if you have some issues or question with this solution, go to the issue list on the SPDev solution repository and mention either me or Tarald or Michael, and we will answer your question as that.
Yeah, and has to clarify, Woppa is Mikael Svensson from Puzzlepart as well. So I've never understood why he's using Woppa as his his alias, but hey, everybody can choose their own alias, so that's fine. Now, really cool stuff, and let's actually see the Webpart in practice. So let's go to the actual demo and see how this Webpart actually works.
After adding this sample solution to your site, you're now able to add this Webpart on your page. Here I've created an empty page from a communication site, and I will show you the first use case scenario for this Webpart, which is the static query configuration to display static sets of results within your page. So to do that, I will grab the search results Webpart and configure a base query. So on the first page of the property pane, the first option for me is to configure a base query. So here I can enter either full text terms, like give me all the documents containing SharePoint with the content or title, or I can request a specific property here, or I can request for all the content using the specific character here, the special character here. So in this box you will have to use the keyword query language syntax of SharePoint to define your base query. On the next page, you can define your query more precisely. So for those who are familiar with the Search API, this is basically the same options you have here. So the first one is the query template. The query template is used to add some terms or values to your base query. So the first token, the search terms, is basically replaced by the base query terms. So in this case, this. And you can use some out-of-the-box tokens like sites, or if I want to request on a specific scope, let's say site collection, I can use, for instance, the site collection token. So this Webpart supports several tokens, out-of-the-box tokens, but we've defined also additional tokens for more advanced scenarios. So to demonstrate this capability, let's say I want to filter this set of results based on a specific page property. So in this current page, I've defined a taxonomy value with a specific term. So here it's Office 365, and I want to filter this set of results according to this value. So to do this, I can use a special token, which is the page token. So dot the internal name of the column I want to use. Here it's taxonomy value, and because it's a taxonomy value, I can choose to use the label of this in column, or either the term ID. And as you can see, the result is filtered according to my page value. It means if I change the value here for, let's say, SharePoint, and I save, if I go back here, the results are displayed according to this value. So this is for the query template. To get all the tokens supported by this Webpart, you can go on the README file within the repository, the GitHub repository, and you will see all the supported out-of-the-box tokens and like I showed you, the page token and so on. So this is for the query template. Now we're going to talk the result source parameter. So in this Webpart, you are able to use a specific result source, like the old content search Webpart. And to do this, I will create a new result source within the site. So you can use result source defined in the site or in the tenant. It doesn't really matter. So to do this, I will create a new one. Let's say I want Office 365 documents, talking about Office 365. So we configure a very basic query with documents with Office 365 in the title. I click save. And to interact with the Webpart, we have to get the ID of the result source. So to get it, just click on the newly created result source, and in the URL, use the specific ID. And put it in the text box here. And as you can see, the query defined in my result source applies here. So this is for the result source identifier. The next option is the initial sort order. So this option, by default, sort these results by specific value. So here is the created date and the size. So here you can choose to use your own values and the direction you want to use, so ascending, descending, or to use to not use the any sort order. So you have to make sure, if you use some values here, you have to make sure this managed property here is sortable, is configured as sortable within the search schema. So the next option is also a sort option, only more targeted to end user within the UI. So in this option, I'm able to specify, like before, like the previous option, a managed property here. So let's say I want to use to sort my result on the modified date, and here is the friendly name displayed in the UI. So the modified date here, and if I specify some field here, you will see a new control here in the UI, allows you to sort the result dynamically. So you have the ascending and descending option for the sort order, and you can also add multiple fields here, and it will appear in this combo box here. With this option, the sort is applied on one field at a time, so be careful of this. The next option of the Webpart is the ability to support query rules. So with query rules, you are able basically to change the query dynamically based on certain keywords, or to promote some links, to display some links according to certain keywords. So to demonstrate that, I've created in my site settings some query rules. So for the default SharePoint source, I've created a query rule here to display some promoted results, to display some links based on specific keywords. So here for the 365 keyword and SharePoint keyword, I want to display some static links, already defined links. So for a link, where we can specify the title, the URL, and a quick description here. If I save this query rule and I go back here and enable this option, I can test my keyword here. So if I type 365, I have my link displayed here based on this keyword. So it is a convenient way to promote some content based on keywords. Okay, so the next option now is the selected property. I won't talk about this property now, we will see it in the styling configuration, so I will jump to the refiner option. The refiner allow you to filter the results dynamically based on certain property. So by default, you have some filters defined, so the created date, size, and all the taxonomy tags apply to your content, but you can define your own. Or you can just remove all the refiners to hide the filter button. But if I want to apply my own filters, I will have to specify my search managed property. So here, make sure your property is defined as refinable. So basically, you will have to use the predefined managed property like refinable string or refinable date and so on. And you can use the alias here instead of the programmatic value, let's say. So here I've defined a property based on the taxonomy value, and I can choose the friendly display name on the filter panel. So let's say I want to show the document type. I configure here, and if I go on the filter, I have now my newly created value with all the corresponding values here. So I can filter on multiple values. As you can see, my filter values are displayed in English because my site language is in English, so everything is fine. But let's say I want to configure my filters in another language. So for instance, I will switch my site to French. So if I go to the language setting, and if I switch to French, and I go back to my search page, so my site is in French and my refiner values are still in English. So it's basically a limitation of SharePoint for the taxonomy refiners. So this Webpart supports the automatic translation to cover this use case for multilingual intranet. So to use the automatic translation, you will have to configure your source schema in a special way. So to do this, I will go to my search schema and define a new refinable managed property. So in my source schema, if I take the refiner property I used before, you can see I have now two refinable strings defined here. This is the one I used, but if I want to benefit of the automatic translation, I have to create a new refinable string property, but use the tax ID crawl property. Okay, so if I take this one here and I go back to the configuration of my Webpart, and I add this here, document type ID to get the difference. And if I click here, you will see the difference. So here based on the text crawl property, and here is the one based on the tax ID property. So these values are translated automatically based on the current user language, the site language, sorry. So it can be useful, very useful for multilingual intranets. So this way, you are able to update those labels, let's say live. So I will show you this right now. If I go back to the site settings and to the term store settings, let's say I want to update the form value in French. We write other label. And I go back here. You will have your label updated automatically here without the need to recrawl something or other. So it can be pretty convenient to update your taxonomy schema, taxonomy hierarchy on the fly. So if I go back to the last option of the search query configuration, the last option is the ability to configure the number of results displayed on this Webpart. So very basic option, you can choose the number here. And this is pretty it for the second page of configuration about the query. And in the next page, we'll talk about the styling options. The styling options will allow you to customize the display of the search results according to your requirements. So we begin with the first options here. So the first option is the ability to configure a title for your Webpart. So this title will be displayed in edit mode and display mode. Okay. The next option is the ability to control if it is better to show nothing if the query doesn't get any result or a friendly message. So if I go here and type something really weird, in edit mode you will have a message saying this specific query doesn't get any result, and in display mode you will have basically nothing. If I get back here and uncheck this option, basically you will have a friendly message appearing here. So I will revert this query. The next option is the ability to show the result count for this query. So you can turn this on or off according to your requirements. And the last option is the ability to show a paging control at the bottom of the component. So the number of pages are automatically defined, and this option works with the previous settings, allowing to configure the number of items per page. So the number of pages is determined automatically according to the number of results, and you can switch paging, making another query to get new set of results. Let's review now the templating feature of this Webpart. So, like the old content search Webpart of SharePoint, you are able to customize the way results are displayed within the components. So, like the old display template capability. So, in this Webpart, we provide two default layouts for your results. So the first one is the list layout, coming with cool feature like document preview. So I can, with this layout, display a preview of an Office document. So it works for PowerPoint, Word, Excel, PDF. So you have an interactive preview of document directly within the result itself. So it works for Office documents, but also for videos, for Office 365 videos. So I will show you this right now. So if I go to the site setting, I will grab the video result source, the built-in video result source for SharePoint, for Office 365 videos. So what I need is the ID of this result source. And if I go here, we scope to the whole tenant. I have already a couple of videos here, and it's the same concept. If I click here, I can play this video directly within the results. So it works only for Office 365 video and not Microsoft Stream. So I will revert back here. The other layouts provided is the tile layout, so another way to display our results. And if you are not satisfied with these layouts, you have the ability to customize your own experience. So this is much like the old display template feature. So you have the choice to start from, let's say, a blank template. Just by clicking here, you have the basic structure to format your result according to your requirements, or you can just start from an existing template. So the basic scenario is I want to show a specific metadata from my information architecture. So let's say I want to keep the list layout, but I just want to add some fields here. So you can start from here and click here. You have the code for this template. And let's say I want to add the author metadata. So basically I will get the same structure, and I have the title, copy paste this line, and the cool thing here is that we can just use the field's name here. So let's say I want to use the manage property author. What I have to do is type this value here and save. And it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? Because before using any custom or any out-of-the-box managed properties, you will have to specify these properties in the selected properties to be able to use it within your templates. So I want to use the author managed property. I have to specify it here. And as you can see, I will have the name written here. So this is very important to define your properties here before using within your template. With template, you have also the ability to use some helpers. So behind the scenes, handlebars is used to generate a template and to build a template. So this is basically HTML with some funky helpers. So for instance, I want to display the title of my result in uppercase. So how I can do that? So by default, you have access to all handlebars helpers within your template. So all you have to do is write the helper name, and your metadata. And by this way, as you can see, you can update the way results are displayed. So this is a really cool feature, and you have a lot of helpers to that you can use within your template. So you can review all the helpers directly in the handlebar helper repository on GitHub. So feel free to take a look. So you can modify your template, let's say inline, by providing your template content directly in the Webpart. So from a technical point of view, this content is saved within the property bag of this Webpart. Or another scenario is if you want to centralize all your templates and distribute all your templates for multiple webparts. For this scenario, you have the ability to specify an external template to your Webpart. So let's say I want to use an external template. I go to let's say a default document library to store all my templates. Here I have an external template, so all I have to do is to specify the path of this template here. So it named external.html, and all my results will be displayed with this template. So here it's a very basic template, just to say this is an external template, but this is basically the same idea. You define a template in an external file in HTML. So this capability, this feature, is very powerful if you want to centralize all your template and control the experience over your site. And when you configure an external template, you're not able to update it from the Webpart. Okay, so this is for the global templating feature. But if you want to have specific condition, to have a specific, let's say, display for a specific condition. Let's say I want to display PowerPoint document this way and Word document this way, and so on. It can be difficult to do this logic within a template like this, because it's a global template, a lot of code, and so on. So, and you don't want to make a lot of, let's say, logical condition within a global template. So, to solve this issue, this problem, we have a result types feature. So the result type feature is just like the result type feature from the old content search Webpart, and it works like this. So if I go to this option, I have the ability to write a template for a condition. Okay, so let's say I want to display Word documents in a way and PowerPoint documents in another way. All I have to do is to write the managed property I want to use. So this property, you have to specify it in the selected properties, like I did for the author property. You have a bunch of built-in operators for properties, so equals, contains, and so on and so on. So let's say I want to target Word documents. So what I can do is, let's say, contains doc, and here I can provide a template for this specific item for only Word documents. So here, for a test, I will just write Word documents just to show you. And I can do this also for, I can add multiple conditions. So let's say file type contains PPT, and this one is a PowerPoint document. And I say, and here is the result. So with this feature, I can apply specific display for specific conditions. So like I did in the configuration, Word documents are displayed in a specific way, and PowerPoint, this is the same. So it's a very powerful feature to customize the experience according to specific conditions, and or to build a very customized experience. So like the previous functionality, so the previous feature, you have also the ability to specify an external template for a specific result type. So let's say the PowerPoint document, I want to use an external template. Here you go. You have the same capability here.
One of the challenges with using handlebars to display the search data is that handlebars cannot handle JavaScript events. It is a pure display engine. We have made an alternative solution that is more similar to classic search display templates that uses SPFX instead. The display templates are bundled as application customizers in a separate app package. This means that we need to install them before we can use them. When the app is installed, the new renderers will be automatically visible from the property pane of any search refiner's webpart on the site. As you can see here, two new template options are visible, similar to the other renderers. We have also added support for templating. Just open the property pane, go to the last page, and press the configure button. Here you may choose from a list of properties that you have chosen to search for in your search settings and map them to different fields. When we save, the view will be updated to display our chosen field instead. Let's try that again. Let's choose file type, save, another file type is displayed as the secondary header. If you want to create your own code renderers, you can find the source code of the examples in the SPDev Solutions repository on GitHub. The source code is found in the same folder as the React Search Refiner's webpart.
Now we're going to talk about the other webpart coming with this solution, which is the search box webpart, and we're going to connect it with the search results webpart on the same page. So to do this, I will add a new search box webpart and go to my search results configuration. As you can see, there is a field here that allows me to connect to an existing source. So this feature, this field, comes directly from the new feature, the dynamic data features, coming with the 1.7 SharePoint framework version. So these features allows you to connect web parts and extensions on the same page. So let's use this field to connect my search box. So I have some available sources on the page. I will talk about the built-in page environment source later, but I will show you first the search box connection. So what I want from the search box is basically the input, the keywords typed by the users. So I will select the raw user search query, and I have another option here. So this option is especially useful if you want to provide a default query. So it's just like the base query, the static configuration query I showed you before, but it is especially useful if we have nothing to get from the input at the beginning. For instance, if you refresh the page, you have nothing in the search box and you want to display default results. So you can provide it as a base query. So let's take a look to the search box option itself. So the search box has multiple options. The first one is to connect this search box to a dynamic data source also. So this scenario would be useful to grab some values and to populate the input control with information from another source. Let's say we want to grab the hashtag from the URL, so the URL fragment, and inject it to the search box automatically. So for this, we're going to use the page environment built-in source and select this URL fragment. This way, everything, the URL change, we're going to get the hashtag injected to the search box. I will show you this right now. From the default list layout, we have some pre-generated tags coming from the item metadata, and with this tag we built a specific hashtag in the URL, making another query. And because we connected the search box with the hashtag, this value is automatically retrieved from the search box, and because the search box is connected to the search result, we've cascaded this behavior. So it can be very, very useful to filter your results dynamically. So I go back to my searchbox environment. Searchbox Webpart. The other options for my searchbox is to enable the query suggestion. So before enabling this option, to configure suggestion, I will have to go to the central administration of my tenant. So if I go here and on the SharePoint administration site, I go to the search option, search center, and I have something called suggestions. The Webpart only supports the static list of keywords, so there is no automatically deduced suggestions based on what you click and what you get from the results. This is basically a text file with some keywords. So I have configured some keywords already. So we'll show you. Let's say I want to. So here you go. You have some basic keywords here as text file, and these keywords will be shown by the search box. It can take up 24 hours to get these values for your search box, so just be careful. So if I enable suggestion here, it means if I start to type some things, I will have suggestion provided to me according to what I type. So it can be especially useful if you want to control some normalized keywords in your company or something. So that's it for the search box option. So I've connected one search box with one component, but as you can see with the dynamic data, we are able to connect multiple instances of the search result Webpart with a single instance of the search result Webpart. So I will show you here. Let's say I want to add 2 search results. So we can build a search center this way very easily. Here. And I will provide a default query and use the list layout. I will configure the other one to the same. Here, search box. And I will provide another and use, let's say, another layout. So with this configuration, I will have different set of results based on multiple instances. So you can build a complete search center with this concept. It's very easy to build. So I can go to my home page, my intranet home page, which is pretty empty here, but I can add the search box here, and I have an option here to send the query to a new page. So here I will provide the URL of my previous page, which is the search copy this link. And I have the ability to choose the behavior of the opening behavior. So I can use the current tab or open a new tab. I will set the query to a new tab. And if I save here, oops. And as you can see, the keyword is sent through the hashtag, and because I've connected my search box to the URL fragment, this keyword is passed to the search box and then to my search results. So you can cascade all the connections from the keywords to multiple instances within your pages. So this is a really powerful combination to build a complete search center. The last options of the search box concern the search query enhancements capability using natural language processing services like Microsoft LUIS. You can see it as a SharePoint query role ++. So instead of making an exact match of keywords and update the search query dynamically, we can benefit from Microsoft LUIS and other connected services to extract intents and entity from the user inputs. So we can apply custom logic. If I enable this option in the Webpart, I can provide a service URL. So if I go back to my solution code, you will see two folders at the top. So the first one is the SPFX folders containing all the Webpart code, and you have a functions folder. So the functions folder is another function that will interact with other Microsoft cognitive services. So before starting, we have to create some LUIS application. So we've provided some sample application here. We have one application per language to get better recognition results. So you can import this file directly in the LUIS portal. So if I go to my LUIS portal, I can import the JSON from here. Now if I go in specific application, we've defined some basic intents and entities. So the first intent is a very basic one. It means the user wants to search for something, and we've provided some sample utterances with keywords, some entities. If I go to the entities, we have for the first entities that we have is the key phrase entity, which is a pre-built entity provided by Microsoft, and it helps to recognize relevant keywords in a utterance. So these entities cannot be trained. It means that if you go back to an intent and want to map specific keywords to these entities, you can't. So in a real world scenario, you might use your own entities and match to your own keywords. So let's say I want to add another sample. Give me info about the vacation policy. I can train this specific utterance to map my own entities. Once I've done it, I can train my application and publish. So because the other function interact with Microsoft Cognitive Services, you will have to create first some Azure keys. So you will have to go to the Azure portal and create some subscription key to interact with these services. So we will need to create one for the LUIS service, the Bing spell, and the text analytics. The text analytics is used to detect the language from the user input and redirect to the right LUIS model. And the spell check we will use to correct the user input. Once you've created these keys, you will have to set up your local settings here and map your keys directly in this file. So to use this function, open a new console and go to the functions folder. build the application. And start the function. Once started, you have here a URL, a localhost URL that you can use directly in your Webpart. I can enable the debug mode to see the output from the Azure function, and I can choose to use either the LUIS staging endpoint or the production endpoint. So this option corresponds to the LUIS publish option here. So if I go to the manage and key endpoint, you have some different slots that you can use to publish your application. So here I will use the production and publish to the production endpoint. Here. And I will use the production endpoint. So it means if I go back to my search box here and I enter this specific sentence, you will see the entities I mapped before in my application. So we have the key phrase entities recognized automatically by the built-in entity, and my own entities appear here also. So once I've done this, I can choose to connect this Webpart to another component in my page. So it can be a search result Webpart. So let's say I want to connect it to a search result. I will add another component here and consume this information from the search box. So here, the search box exposes the enhanced search query. But you can use your own property and your own component. So you can create components that consume entities or intents and display the information accordingly. So if I go back in my Azure function and inspect the code, the logic, you will see the algorithm here is pretty simple. Once I've retrieved the entities and intents, I just create a new search query that can be used in other components on my page. But in the real-world scenario, you might want to use your custom logic here to extract entities and do something relevant. Another cool feature of using Microsoft LUIS as a search proxy is that you can get search logs directly from the application. In the LUIS portal, you can export logs for a specific application as a CSV file. This way, you can see all the users' queries, and you can see what users are looking for in your sites and improve your models for LUIS application consequently by refining entities and intents. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Feel free to test these components within your tenant. You have all the installation instructions from the README file, so you can take a look. And feel free to log some issues or suggestions directly on GitHub. Thank you.
One of the challenges with using handlebars to display the search data is that handlebars cannot handle JavaScript events. It is a pure display engine. We have made an alternative solution that is more similar to classic search display templates that uses SPFX instead. The display templates are bundled as application customizers in a separate app package. This means that we need to install them before we can use them. When the app is installed, the new renderers will be automatically visible from the property pane of any Search Refiner's Webpart on the site. As you can see here, 2 new template options are visible, similar to the other renderers. We have also added support for templating. Just open the property pane, go to the last page, and press the configure button. Here you may choose from a list of properties that you have chosen to search for in your search settings and map them to different fields. When we save, the view will be updated to display our chosen field instead. Let's try that again. Let's choose file type, save, and now the file type is displayed as the secondary header. If you want to create your own code renderers, you can find the source code of the examples in the SPDev Solutions repository on GitHub. The source code is found in the same folder as the React Search Refiners Webpart.
And there we go. Really, really, really cool stuff. And and obviously the demo and the webcast. The demo is quite long, but that's demo is long because there's quite a lot of capabilities. So hopefully the people who are watching the video, you actually watched through and understood how flexible the Webpart is and what's possible. Now, any last words from Frank or Tarald from your side?
You have all the information in the demo, so feel free to ask your question if you didn't understand very well or you want me to explain more. But you have all the information inside the repository as well, so feel free to use it.
Yep. And what about you, Tarald? Any last words?
No, I think the demo covers it. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. The demo was so good. Excellent. But thank you both for joining, and thank you for an awesome community contribution. It's really great to see. This is a great Webpart which Frank started, and then Mikael jumped in, and then Tarald jumped in, and it's kind of an evolving together as a team, which is a really, really great thing. And because that's really the power of the community. We learn from each other. We extend the common knowledge and common samples what we built together. So this is a great example of that success. But thank you both for joining, and we'll definitely, hopefully, we'll have a new webcast in the future with both of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.